Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. This is for October 25th, 2024. This is episode 303. Stand-up comedian, actor, improviser, and dreamer, Paul Green, coming to you, sharing my thoughts and insights and my journey as I pursue my own dreams and share whatever the heck it is I think I'm learning on the pathway there. So, by the way, this shirt right here, I found in my, t-shirts drawer that isn't in my closet. So the shirts in my closet are the shirts that I like kind of wear out. And then I have this drawer, kind of has my shirts that I use for like working out or for sleeping in. Well, I'm a little behind on my laundry. So all of my shirts to wear out are in need of cleaning, so I went to the secondary drawer and I pulled out this shirt. And so you see, this says "The Bridge Crew, Live Long, Rock Hard." And this shirt actually is for a band that I played in very briefly back when I was living in Los Angeles. And we only did, I think, 3 gigs in LA. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. The guy who put it together is also a comedian. His name is Thomas Tran. T-H-O-M, Tom Tran. And let me tell you something. This guy could freaking wail on the guitar like you would not believe. He was an unbelievable guitar player and a bit of a guitar fanatic. He owned like 40 guitars, and he could play anything. This guy could literally play anything on the electric guitar that you can imagine. He could play any of the solos, any of the classic rock stuff, Bon Jovi, Heart, Van Halen, Journey, just unbelievable. And so we played a handful of gigs together. I played keyboards and sort of rhythm guitar. And it was such a blast. And I don't know. I just put on this shirt and it just brought me back to those few gigs that we did. I ended up actually moving back to Phoenix like right around the time that band was happening. So again, we started playing together in like December of 2021, November, December. We had like a gig in December, and then we had like another gig sometime in February or March, and then I think like one more. And then right about that time, I ended up moving back to Phoenix. So I had to leave the band. But man, was that a fun time. And, it just reminds me to... You know what it reminds me? Sorry, that sounded very, I don't know, it came across very presumptuous to me. But no, it reminded me of how important it is, as much as I can, to just enjoy life wherever I'm at in this moment of time, because life is always changing. It's always evolving. Not everything that is now will always be, and not everything that isn't will always be isn't. I did not word that very well, but you get what I'm saying. I was playing in a band and I had such a blast, and now I'm not playing in that band and I miss it. And I'm just so grateful that while I was in it, I was just able to enjoy it to its fullest as much as I could. And we played one gig at the world-famous Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard. I mean, we're talking an iconic live music venue, which has a long history in Hollywood. And it's like, and I got to do that. And then I just think about, okay, what are all the cool things that I'm involved in now? And how can I be more grateful and enjoy them more, just in case something happens to where life adjusts, life evolves. Maybe I got to move again. Who knows what's going to happen? So just be grateful and enjoy life wherever you're at as much as you can. And if your life is horrible right now, I'm so sorry. Try to find the silver lining, try to find the joy, and look forward to the time when life won't suck anymore. Because by that same token that I was doing this really fun thing and I was in this band and that has moved on, well, sometimes there's going to be really difficult patches of life. Horrible things can happen. Discouraging things can happen. And the beauty of all of that is that will also change and that will also pass. So just enjoy the ride as much as our precious little egos will allow. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you may also notice that I am missing something on my face. That is right. I am clean shaven. And that is because tomorrow morning I will be hopping on a plane and heading up to Salt Lake City, Utah, home of the Coyotes, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, but they bailed on us. That I will be playing Lord Voldemort tomorrow night at the nation's largest Harry Potter party. And you want to talk about relishing experiences while they last. My understanding is this is usually an annual event, and my understanding is this will be the last year that this event is held. So this could be my last opportunity to do this specific Halloween experience, which I have been doing for about 10 years. I've missed a couple of years, but for the most part, I have been flying up there once a year, dressing up like Lord Voldemort, and then just going and riffing with all of the patrons. And I have so much fun. Last year, I was able to get a videographer to follow me around, and I've been posting clips of that footage throughout the year, and I will be doing that again. So very much looking forward to that. And again, just finding the opportunity to have as much fun with it as possible, because like the band, that may also be an experience that is going away. So enjoy life, everybody. Now, would like to just share something kind of cool that happened tonight. So I make no apologies about my dream, which is to pursue comedy, and to pursue comedy in a manner which allows me to garner enough fame to be able to sell out large venues, be able to have a large fan base so that I can tour, perform, do my show anywhere in the country, and be able to attract an audience, which is going to necessitate at least a degree of fame. Now, do I feel like I want to be like Taylor Swift famous? Not at all, but I don't need to be that famous. But I have put a lot of thought into just how much fame and success is required to allow for the life that I'm envisioning. And, and I've done all of the things. I've done all the manifestations. I've done all of the journaling. I've done all the mapping it out, set the goals. I've done all of those things. But tonight, I had a cool little experience. So I wanted to get some writing done, because I'm also starting to re-up my dedication to writing new material. I've been a little slow in the new material and the writing department. So I made a commitment to myself. It was like 10:45 p.m. And I'm like, all right. I had tried to write earlier in the day. I wrote for like 5-10 minutes and then got distracted. So I was like, I need to write, high priority, make sure I get it done. And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. There's this restaurant that's open till midnight. It's walking distance to me. I'm going to grab my notebook. I'm going to walk to that restaurant. I'm going to put in my earpods. I'm going to listen to some meditation music to kind of drown out the noise. And then I'm going to write until the restaurant closes at midnight, right? So I grab the old notebook, walk over to the restaurant. I sit down. I start welling away in the notebook. And about 20, 25 minutes go by, and these two women walk up to me at the table. And I'm like, this is weird. I don't hardly ever get approached, little yet, by women when I'm out in public. And so I'm kind of like, and I look up and it's like, there's just these two women there. So I like take my ear pods out and they're like, hey, are you a comedian? Yeah. They go, we just saw you last week out in Gilbert. Like, oh my gosh. And I was like, that was probably JP's, right? And they're like, yeah, that was so funny. And you were there. And, my mom was there and she said that thing or whatever. I couldn't actually really remember the show we were talking about because I did 5 shows at JP's that weekend. But that was just so cool to me to be like recognized, because that is something that I have tried to picture in my mind and have tried to understand that, like, because everything that we want, there's always a correlated downside, right? Now, I'm actually very introverted and I don't like to be bothered, right? So as I have been putting this manifestation out there that, like, I need to achieve a level of fame, which means a level of recognition, which means there's possibility that I will get recognized in public when I'm by myself writing, and I might get disturbed or disrupted while I'm doing that. And here it's like happening in real time. And just, 2 people who saw my show, recognized me, and just wanted to come say hi and just say that they appreciated the show. So they walk off, and then I'm writing. And then there were these 2 guys right on the table on the booth next to me. And then one of them turns around and he kind of makes eye contact and he says, hey, did I hear that you're a musician? And I just said, oh, no, I'm a comedian. He goes, oh, you're a comedian? I love comedy. Where do you perform? And blah, 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 and all that stuff. So we had a little conversation. I give him my Instagram handle. He's like, that's awesome. I'm going to follow you and, maybe I'll come check out a show, right? So I am all over the place when it comes to metaphysical, spirituality, manifestation, God, luck, hard work, dreams, failure, how much that I accomplish in my life is my doing, how much of it is some entity outside of my control. And I'm always all over the place, but to me, this was just such a cool little microcosm of the types of experiences that I have started to picture in my mind that I will be having as my influence grows and my fame grows and my fan base grows, which is being recognized in public, and then also that I will be exuding a certain type of energy that will attract people, where people will want to understand what I'm up to. And, oh, there's something going on with this guy. I want to figure out what it is and decide if I want to hop on that train or not, right? So that was really cool. And that is a perfect segue to the new book that I have decided to read or listen to. I hardly ever read. I usually listen to audiobooks. By the way, thank you, everybody, for your recommendations. I took none of them. Except for last night, I did talk about the Bible, Jim. At least one verse. And what's so fascinating is this book totally found me. And how it found me was I had clicked on my Google TV, and then Google TV, I don't know if you have any people have Google TV out there, but, it kind of accumulates all of the streaming apps into like one screen, right? So you can go to like your Netflix or your Hulu or your Disney, but it also has like YouTube and Spotify and everything you can just access from one screen. And as part of that, it also will accumulate a sort of suggested playlist for you from all of the streaming platforms, right? Like, when you go into Netflix, it kind of curates your Netflix list a little bit for you, but the Google TV curates a list across multiple platforms. And sometimes it will even pull up some recommendation videos that are on YouTube. So evidently, Big Brother was listening and knew that I was looking for a new self-help book. And the recommended YouTube video, the title of it, or the little thumbnail said, "The universe doesn't give an F about you." Okay. I'm interested. What does that say about me? It's like, oh, somebody doesn't give an F about me. I am interested in that. You want to know what I just realized this entire time? This is really embarrassing. This microphone is not actually plugged in. Can you believe that, everybody? All right. Now, let's see if you can notice a difference. I'm actually going to do this. So I had one end plugged into my camera, but this end of the USB is supposed to be plugged into the microphone. So one half of this podcast is just going to be the audio from my phone, and the rest of it is going to be the audio from the microphone. So all of my listeners out there, let me know if you can hear a difference. We're going to do this in real time. Oh my gosh. I am a professional, everybody. All right, let's see. Do I have to start the recording over? I don't actually know. I don't think so. I think it's resonating. All right. So I am now talking through the microphone. Did you guys all notice a difference around the 16 minute and 50 second mark? All right. So anyway, so I'm on Google TV. I see this thumbnail. The universe doesn't give an F about you. I click on it, and it's a video of some guy who I've never seen before, who wrote a book, just one of the tens of thousands of thought leaders who've written a book. And he's on a podcast that I actually really like. It's the School of Greatness podcast with Lewis Howes. I like Lewis Howes a lot. I think he does a good job of getting really interesting guests and having very engaging conversations, a lot of which have influenced me positively. And so he's talking to this guy, and to be honest, I can't even remember his name right now. I'm so bad with, I got to do better at that because, you're supposed to give credit to authors and stuff. But anyway, this guy wrote a book called Mind Magic, the Neuroscience of Manifestation and how it changes everything. I think something like that. And I just thought that was so interesting because if you follow the podcast, I have been commenting on self-help books for about 3 or 4 months. And the last 2 self-help books I have read have all had magic and mind in the title. So about 2 months ago, I was commenting on a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. And then I just got done commenting on the book, The Magic Mindset. And then this guy wrote a book called Magic Mind. So evidently, the universe really wants me to understand magic and mind and get those together because this is now the 3rd book that has magic and mind in the title. So I start listening to this guy, and this guy is an actual brain surgeon. So he's an actual neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon. And so I just start listening to his interview with Lewis Howes, and I didn't even know he had written a book, by the way. I was just listening to the podcast, and then I thought, oh, yeah, this guy has definitely written a book. And so I looked him up, and then I found his book, and it's called Magic Mind. And I was like, well, I guess I got my next book. So that is the book that I started listening to that I will be commenting on and sharing my thoughts as I start to dive into yet another self-help book about the power of the mind. Now, so let's talk about that book. What I found very interesting about this book is right out the gate, right out like in the introduction, he lays out his thesis, and pretty much the first thing he says is, the universe doesn't give an F about you, and that is the best news there is. And that is because the universe doesn't have any Fs to give, which means you don't have to worry about that. And then he pretty much makes a claim that there actually is no God in terms of the sense that there's some sort of entity with outside of ourselves who is keeping track of everything, keeping notes, and then giving out or withdrawing certain blessings or certain opportunities, and is part of some sort of cosmic intelligence that is, again, keeping track, taking notes, saying, well, this person didn't, worship me the right way, or didn't say the right prayers, or didn't pay enough, tithes and offerings to their church, or didn't build the right totem pole, like whatever it is. That whole element in terms of like theological or theistic worship, he just says there's no scientific evidence or proof of any of that. He says, however, what there is a significant amount of scientific proof of is that the brain, it has neuroplasticity, meaning the brain can alter, and that we can, through intentions, alter our brain chemistry, alter our thoughts, alter our intentions, alter our focus, and that the more we do that, the more we have the capacity to create and realize and manifest our own world and our own destiny. And ultimately, he sort of brought it around as to saying the universe doesn't give an F about you, but the only person who needs to give an F is you or me about myself, and then I get to choose what I give an F about. And based off of that choice and that intentionality, that is ultimately going to lead me down a certain path of manifestation. I think I did okay breaking down his thesis. I just listened to it, but I thought that was really interesting and a really interesting take on it. And during that thesis, he talks about a lot of the other sort of pop culture I don't really know how to say it, like pop culture fads regarding manifestation, like The Secret. He talked about prosperity, what do you call it? It's like prosperity preaching. That's not the word that he used, but that there's sort of this rise of like I want to use the word Christian. I don't know if that's fair, because I think it might be bigger than Christianity, but that there's sort of this sect within Christianity of preachers who will preach abundance, and that God, that there is a God who's external, who is going to give you abundance if you just ask for it, and ask for it in the right way. And then again, he really goes on to sort of debunk that notion and just says, no, what we actually have scientific proof and evidence, and this is what he's saying as a neuroscience, having studied the brain and studying brain activity and neuroplasticity and genes and gene expressions and midichlorians. Sorry. Any Star Wars fans got that joke. Midichlorians is indication that you have the Force. That's how Liam Neeson's character knew that young Anakin had the Force, because he had a high midichlorian count. But anyway, so what he was talking about is there's not a lot of evidence, again, for an external, an external entity or force or a god or a deity that just gives abundance based off of somebody asking for it. However, there is a lot of evidence of human beings' ability to change their minds and to focus their minds. And he's talked a lot about intention, and he goes, what the power of intention does is it allows you to, out of the millions and millions of influences biting for our time and attention, the more intentional you can get about what it is that you are seeking will allow you to filter out what is not important to you and allow your brain to readjust and to realign, to seek out and find what it is that you are stating it is that you want through intention, which I actually think is what prayer is, right? I know a lot of the idea of prayer is like, oh, well, I'm praying to an external source to give me something. But when you pray to something, what you're actually doing is you're just focusing your mind to seek something. And we could debate that. Who's debating me? Anybody in the comments want to debate? I'm not trying to debate that. I'm just saying that I would suspect that how this guy would say that is like what the prayer is actually doing is getting your mind focused. Now, even though you are maybe supplementing or requesting a certain gift or a blessing from an external source, supplicating, what you are also doing is setting an attention in your own mind and in your own focus so that when you then go out into the world, because of that prayer that you said, oh yeah, I'm seeking this thing, and so now it's in my mind. And any sort of manifestation of whatever that prayer is actually not necessarily because there's an external being who gave it to you. It's because the act of that prayer allowed you to focus your mind. And now that your mind is focused, your mind then started to seek out ways to bring into reality that which you had prayed about, but now you're actually just making it happen. And it sort of reminds me, I remember back in my religious days, I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard it many times throughout my religious experience. And it was this idea that, because prayer was really strongly encouraged. And they would say, you need to pray like everything depends on God, but then you need to behave like everything depends on you. And I even remember thinking like, well, then how do you know what's actually making it happen? Because you're praying to God like everything depends on him, but then you're behaving like everything depends on you, which means you're doing a lot of work. So if you're doing a lot of work and the thing happens, then how do you know that it was actually God who gave it to you, or if it just wasn't your actions that caused you to manifest it? So based on this guy's philosophy, which I'm leaning towards a little bit more than perhaps a theological beneficiary. No, not a beneficiary. Benefactor? What's the one that gives? No, the benefactor receives? The benefit. I need to Google some stuff before I start using words when I don't know the meaning. But anyway, very fascinating book. And it was interesting is I was listening to that book while I was walking to the restaurant, and I was starting to put myself in that mindset of manifesting my dreams as a comedian and as a performer and having enough fame to where I get recognized. And while I'm listening to this guy who's like, well, get your mind focused. That's what intention is. That's what neuroplasticity is. That's what manifestation is. Then I go to this restaurant and I get recognized from two people who are at a show. And then I have another guy who turns around and wants to follow me on Instagram and then maybe go see me perform. So there you go, everybody. So that is going to be a fun book. Mind Magic. I'm looking forward to it. I will keep commenting on that for the next couple weeks or so. And let's see what Mind Magic has to offer in regards to manifesting dreams using neuroscience. Ooh. All right, everybody. So that is all for me for tonight. I hope you're all doing well. Your dreams are coming true. And by the way, I'm not anti-religion and I'm not anti-prayer. If it's working for you, go for it. This is just what I think and what I feel and what is working for me. So you do what works for you. All right, everybody. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. This is the Paul Green Comedy Podcast, October 25th, episode 303. I will talk to you tomorrow, coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah.